Yeah, the Wednesday edition, Mr. Relevant, presented by Door County Distillery. I'm Alex Strouf with you from the Gruber Law Offices 1. Call That's All Studios at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Producer Tiny Hands. Hunter Vaughn is with me at the Everlight Solar Studio in downtown Madison. Good to be with you on the ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee Facebook pages, or YouTube pages, rather, the ESPN Madison Facebook page as well. Lots to get into today. I mean, more takeaways from the Jordan Love contract deal that was struck on Friday and over the weekend. Jordan Love back at practice. Practice 8 for the Packers today up in Green Bay in like 88-degree weather, so warm one for the Packers up at Ray Nitschke Field. We have a couple takeaways, a couple video clips to look at from all things training camp as training camp continues up in Green Bay, and we inch closer and closer to the NFL season here on the final day of July. Tomorrow, August 1st, first NFL game. Hall of Fame game tomorrow. Texans, Bears. You will not see C.J. Stroud. You might see Caleb Williams. I haven't seen any reports on whether or not he will play for the Bears tomorrow. I hope that's the case. Would love to see Caleb Williams just struggle in the Hall of Fame game, because could you imagine what we're going to be talking about on Friday's show? It ain't going to be about Jordan Love. It's going to be about Caleb Williams and whether or not he stinks. So hopefully that happens. We will be watching the Hall of Fame game at Dave & Buster's for the ESPN Wisconsin Fantasy Football Draft, the Mr. Irrelevant League. Looking forward to that. Hunter will be there. I will be there with a bunch of fans and a bunch of other ESPN Wisconsin personalities. Every show has a league, is my understanding. So there's a Mr. Irrelevant League, there's a KBN League, there's a Wildy and Tausch League, there's a Jim, Matt, and Molly League, and we're all going to be hanging out at D&B's. So eat, play, drink. Is that what it is? Eat, drink, play, Hunter? What's the slogan for Dave & Buster's? Eat, drink, play, right?
I think so. I don't know. I feel really bad.
So,
I should know that.
I think it's eat, drink, play. And why I know this, and I don't know if I've ever told you this story, was I went through a breakup a couple years ago, and the Dave & Buster's in Green Bay, right up the road from Lambeau Field, had just opened. So to celebrate, I guess, the breakup several years ago, my brother took me to Dave & Buster's. I think I was like 21 at the time. And we played, Papa Shot, all the games I got at Dave & Buster's. Fantastic. I won a gold necklace on it that said eat, drink, play. It was much too small for my neck, but I wore it every day for like a week, and then I ultimately lost it in Stevens Point somewhere. But I had an eat, drink, play necklace. It's the only time in my life I've ever worn a necklace. I've never been a necklace guy. I've never been much of an accessories guy to begin with, right? I don't wear rings. I've never worn necklaces other than a watch. I don't wear bracelets or anything. So there you go. Never been an accessories guy. But that eat, drink, play gold chain, that thing was pretty sick. So maybe I'll win another one tomorrow out in Wauwatosa for our ESPN Wisconsin Fantasy Football Draft. Let's start here, though, Hunter. We've talked about it all summer long. I am in a cornhole league, a bags league, however you want to call it, at a bar north of Milwaukee. Hunter, I am sad to report tonight is the final night. Tonight is the final week of bags leagues. Now, the schedule for tonight, which was released Monday, is the following. In the earlier time slot, you have the third place game, the fifth place game, and the seventh place game. In the later time slot, you have the first place game, the ninth place game, and the 11th place game in a 12-team league. Before I ask you which game you think I'm competing in, which time slot do you think I'm competing in? Do you think I am in the time slot of the third, fifth, and seventh place games, or do you think I am in the time slot of the first, ninth, and 11th place games, Hunter Vaughn?
I mean, it's the second one of those two. I mean, you're definitely fighting to stay out of last place, right?
Meaning you think I am competing in the 11th place game?
Yeah. Like, there's no way you suddenly shot up the leaderboard in a week. You didn't. If you did, then you were juicing.
Juicing in a bags league. First off, just want to give a shout out to Treb, who's watching on the ESPN Madison YouTube channel. Treb says, greetings from, I don't know how to say the name of the city, but from Norway. Shout out to Treb. Thanks for watching all the way out there in Norway. Appreciate you hanging out with us
Treb's
here
our
on
new
Mr.
favorite
Relevant,
fan.
presented by Dorka.
I'm saying it right now.
Yeah, I mean, if we were to have a fan Hall of Fame, Treb might be the first inductee. Shout out to Norway. Appreciate you hanging out. So I am playing in the 11th place game. Now, standings are thrown out the window. Okay? So standings no longer exist as of tonight, right? You win the game, you win 11th place for me. However, the standings do matter here, Hunter, because entering tonight, me and my girlfriend are in 12th place. We are 5 and I don't remember our exact record, maybe 5-17. It's a total of 24, so we have to do math here. 5-19. We were a total of 5-19 on the season. So I've explained the rules before, but I'll explain them again. Every week you play 3 games no matter what. You can lose 3-0, you can win 3-0, you can win 2 games to 1, whatever. It is based on your win-loss record, and then it is based on your total points. We rank 9th in the league for total points. So we've been hanging in there in some tough losses. But we are 5-19 on the season. The team we are playing tonight, who we have not played this year, is 6-18. They have 1 more win than us and less points than us. So essentially, in order to win 11th place, we got to go 2-1 tonight, Hunter. I have faith. I've been manifesting since I found out the schedule on Monday that this will be the night we get a victory, 2-1 over a team. We have not gotten a legitimate win all year long. 3 of our wins were from a forfeit. I lied to you earlier in the year. We went 3-0 one week. It was because the other team wasn't there.
Wow.
2 of our wins are legitimate. The rest of them aren't. We need to go 2-1 tonight at minimum, if not 3-0 to end the bag season on a high note. I don't think you understand, though, Hunter, how unbelievably locked in I am going to be in a last place match. I need this victory more than my body needs water. I need this because if I go in there tonight and I get swept by the second to last place team, I am going to retire from the game of cornhole. I'll take that a step further. If I don't win tonight, I will never re-enter another cornhole league. This will be the last time and the first time I ever do this. I absolutely need the win tonight. Like, I need it. And I hope the other team feels the same way so I can crush their spirits. I'm thinking about buying a trophy. Tonight there's a trophy shop right up the street. I'm thinking about going to buy a trophy before we go to Bags League for the 11th place team. Is that a bad idea?
Yeah, I wouldn't be trying to bring any of that karma into it. My first concern, though, is your girlfriend as into this match as you are? Because if she's not, that could get a little excessive and might cause some friction. So do we know where she stands? That's a great
follow-up question. Yeah, no, it's a really good follow-up question by you. I have convinced her, I have talked her into being as invested as I am. She is ready to talk some smack and sink some bags. So we are getting after it tonight. Tonight is the night we get a victory. I'll report back to you on Friday with how that goes.
I'll be rooting for you. I hope it goes well for you. I'm a little concerned about your team's defense. If you're sitting up that high on points, are you able to stop the other team? Because that's what wins playoff games, is getting stops late.
Well, we got smoked the last few weeks by the first place team, both teams in the third place game, and a team in the 5th place game. So our last month and a half, we've played some tough competition. I think we're ready for tonight. We played the best. Now we're playing the worst. We better win, dude. Seriously, I will be devastated if we don't get a W tonight. So, anyway. All right. Let's talk Jordan Love. Jordan Love, reportedly, he's got his mojo back a little bit out at Green Bay Packers practice. This video from Rob Demovsky injected into my veins, man. Our friend Rob Demovsky, friend of the show from ESPN. Here's a hookup between Love and Musgrave, Luke Musgrave, the second-year tight end, who hasn't been getting a ton of love here this offseason, right? The storyline has consistently been about the wide receivers and how good they are. Hunter, I just want you to throw up the video of Luke Musgrave making the sick catch. It's a one-handed catch from Jordan Love at practice yesterday. It is an unbelievable grab from Musgrave. It's Odell style as he tiptoes the sideline. And it just looks like he's ready to, like, prove he can be a legitimate tight end in the league. I've mentioned this before, but I think it's worth bringing up, which is, like Sam Laporta was the rookie tight end last year who blew everybody's socks off for the Detroit Lions, Sam Laporta. And I think Laporta, with how great of a season he had, and I'm not knocking him in any way. He's a really good tight end. He's going to be for many years, assuming he's able to stay healthy, and hopefully he's able to stay healthy going forward. But with what a great season he had, it completely overshadowed what the Green Bay tight ends did in their rookie season. Between Luke Musgrave, who we just saw, and Tucker Kraft, the other tight end, like, the Packers have some really nice pieces at tight end. And I think that gets overshadowed quite a bit. And I'm excited to see the year 2 jump for Luke Musgrave. Like, the reports have been good on Tucker Kraft through 8 days of practice, but Luke Musgrave legitimately getting a lot of praise, as has a couple other guys in the receiving corps. But what you have to remember as a Packers fan is the embarrassment of riches around Jordan Love. And I've been told, we talked about it a bit on Monday's show, I was a little negative when it came to the Jordan Love deal, just because I kept pointing out what happened in the first half of the season. But we have to paint with a broader stroke, right? Like, we have to paint the full picture when it comes to my negativity. Love isn't the only reason Love wasn't great in the first half of the season. The playbook was condensed. Matt LaFleur didn't trust the skill position players around Jordan Love, so the playbook was just smaller, right? The receivers hadn't taken that next step quite yet. The tight ends weren't ready for it yet, right? Like, tight end is one of the hardest positions to master in the NFL. And as a rookie, when you're a starter, you're blocking. You have to understand the assignments. You have to understand the route running. It's a lot on your plate. So the good news here is, with the Love deal and with going into 2024, is you're going to have second half playbook, right? Like, you're going to have total buy-in. You're going to have guys, knowing what they're doing week 1, where you didn't really have that a year ago. So that is the positive spin on everything, is this is going to be a full-blown Matt LaFleur offense week 1 of the season rather than week 10, when it really transitioned to that, or maybe week 9, whatever it was last year. Whenever they played Pittsburgh, I think was kind of the turning point we all look at. So that's the good news, right? And Luke Musgrave is just one of those many pieces offensively that Packers fans are spoiled with going into this season that is just phenomenal, right? Like, is ready to take a year 2 jump. So I'm really excited to see what happens with those 2 tight ends, Musgrave and Kraft. I think both of them have super bright futures in the NFL, and Musgrave looks like he's taken that step here in the offseason. And that video is just like, that's what training camp's all about, baby, right? Like, seeing a clip of Luke Musgrave making a sick one-handed grab with no defenders around him. That's what we react to, because we're Packers fans. Stuff like that's exciting. The offensive great problem to have, though, for the Packers is really awesome, though, Hunter, right? Like, I imagine, I don't want to say you're jealous as a Cowboys fan, because I don't think you are, but because you have some really good pieces on your offense as well, right? And CeeDee Lamb getting a new deal allegedly. So, yeah, I mean, but the Packers, I mean, they are in a wonderful position. It's a wonderful problem to have when you have the embarrassment of riches like they do.
Yeah, and the thing that is going to be I think hard at times for Packer fans is going to be the fact that because they have this embarrassment of riches, you're not going to see somebody like Luke Musgrave have stats for maybe 2 or 3 weeks the way that you would expect him to. And then all of a sudden he'll explode for a game. And then he's going to disappear. And that doesn't mean he's not doing things well or correctly. It just means that, other guys are getting open. Other guys match up better against whoever they're playing. So I think that's going to be the hard thing. And it's almost like I almost want to challenge Packer fans that going into this year, if you're worried about a guy, watch them specifically for a week. Like, if you feel like Jaden Reed has disappeared for a week or 2, watch him and what he might be doing.
Just lock in?
Yeah, because he might be doing other things that are actually helping other guys get open. Because he's pulling defenders in on an underneath route, and then you've got Romeo Doubs over the top of it or something like that. So that's where I think this offense is going to be really hard for fans, because you're not going to have just one guy getting a boatload of targets all the time.
I don't know if I'd be as firm in that as you are, because we've talked about it a ton, and we can have that conversation here, Hunter, before we get to a quick break. I imagine somebody's going to take that step, whether it's Romeo Doubs, who got the highest Madden rating of every Packers wide receiver, whether that's Christian Watson if he's healthy, I imagine somebody's going to end up being that quote-unquote security blanket for Jordan Love, who will get a boatload of targets. Jaden Reed, I think, is a good option for that. But when you have, I keep using the term embarrassment of riches that the Packers do offensively, maybe you're right. Like, maybe this is their superpower. Maybe not having a true number 1 is their superpower. Maybe the versatility and the depth of their offensive skill position players is their superpower, because it's too hard to eliminate one person out of the game, whether that's Christian Watson on the deep route or if it's Jaden Reed doing the mixture of things that he does so well. Maybe that is their superpower. I think we're going to have a very early indication now of which part is true, because maybe through 4 weeks, Romeo Doubs is leading the league in receptions, Like, I don't know that I'd be shocked by that. Because to what I was talking about earlier, this is going to be a full-blown Matt LaFleur offense week one, right? Last year it was more of okay, let's ease them into it. Let's wait a minute. Like, let's let them get their feet a little bit. And then they were 2-5 and in desperation mode, kind of longing for a playoff spot. LaFleur opened it up, and it worked beautimous, right? Jordan Love was better than every quarterback in the NFL. So when you hear the national commentary, which includes Michelle Smallman this morning on Unsportsmanlike, weekday mornings, 5 to 9 Central on ESPN Radio, to say, hey, Jordan Love, I would say if I was to put money on 5 quarterbacks to win the MVP, he'd be the third I'd put the most money on. And I don't know who she had in front of him, but I would guess probably Joe Burrow or Josh Allen or Mahomes or Lamar, right? I imagine those are all names that are in the MVP conversation again. Brock Purdy, I think legitimately will enter the MVP conversation this year. CJ Stroud could be a guy that enters the MVP conversation after winning Rookie of the Year last year. But Love is going to have the opportunity to do what he did the second half of the season all year, right? He's more comfortable. The guys around him are more comfortable. Matt LaFleur, most importantly, is more comfortable. You might see, and I anticipate, we've talked a lot about how excited we are for the Packers' new defense and the new defensive coordinator, Jeff Hafley. But I imagine week one, there's not going to be a lot of great defense on display. As good as both of these defenses in Philadelphia and Green Bay should be, I think this might be a little bit of a shootout in Brazil week one, which, yeah, I'm not mad about that. Like, that's I don't know. That's how I feel right now, is we're probably going to have a little bit of a shootout.
Yeah, and so I looked it up. Michelle's list. She had Josh Allen 5, Christian McCaffrey 4, Jordan Love 3, Patrick Mahomes 2, and then Aaron Rodgers number 1, which I kind of like that take for her, because if Rodgers gets the Jets to be a playoff team, and he's even playing above average as a quarterback, he's going to be comeback player of the year and MVP. Like, that's just what he'll get just based off of that situation and everything else.
So It's funny you say that, because as you listed off, her number 1 was Aaron Rodgers. I would guess Rodgers is a shoo-in for comeback player of the year. Like, a lot of quarterbacks got hurt last year. Don't get me wrong. Joe Burrow was hurt last year. He's probably got a pretty good case if the Bengals make the playoffs. But I would guess if Rodgers is 70% of his normal self, which is an amazing quarterback in the regular season, he's a shoo-in for comeback player of the year. He played 4 snaps last year. I wonder how decorated that man's mantle is. 4 MVPs, which is second most in NFL history behind only Peyton Manning. He's got a Super Bowl MVP. He's won a boatload of ESPYs. I would imagine that man's mantle is running out of room. But to add something like a comeback player of the year, like, that would be just like kind of like Joe Flacco last year who won it. It's like furthers a Hall of Fame ballot. Obviously more so for Flacco. Aaron Rodgers is a first ballot 100% vote getter. But it kind of furthers his resume if he wins comeback player of the year, which he probably should. I would have a hard time believing, unless he gets hurt again, and I really hope that doesn't happen, anybody else winning comeback player of the year. I hadn't thought about that yet. I don't think about awards in the preseason quite often, other than MVP, because I think the conversation is interesting. Because if we look back in November or December, when we're nearing the end of the NFL season, and we think about Michelle Smallman's MVP list, or we think about guys that we think will compete for the MVP, right? I just mentioned a guy like Brock Purdy. If he takes a total backslide, be like, wow, I missed that one. What was wrong on that one? Or to the opposite spectrum, right? If Jordan Love is legitimately in the MVP conversation come December, like, oh boy, we were so right about him. We were so right about him. So we'll see. We're going to rapid fire tier NFL teams coming up next as we enter the month of August tomorrow. I've got all 32 NFL teams. I've got 6 tiers: elite, contenders, playoff teams, outside, bad, and dumpster fire. I can't wait to put a couple teams in dumpster fire. Just roast some teams for no good reason. We'll do that coming up next. But first, got to tell you about our presenting sponsor. That, of course, is the great folks, my great friends at Door County Distillery. Locally produced, handcrafted, and award-winning spirits made locally in beautiful Door County in Carlsville. If you're going up to Door County this weekend, you got to pop in. Tell them I sent you. Say, hey, I heard Strouf talking about you on Mr. Relevant. What do you got? Show me around. Show me this place. They'd be happy to do that. What they do it better than everybody else. whether it's with the local cherries in Door County known for their cherries, cherry brandy, cherry vodka. If you like whiskeys, the 27-time gold medal award-winning single malt whiskey. Terrific in an old-fashioned, by the way. I just did that for the first time. I'm usually a cherry brandy guy. I like my brandy old-fashions. I like whiskey old-fashions, too. I used the single malt this weekend. It's pretty good. Pretty good. They've also got rye whiskey, bourbon, if that's your flavor. We're getting down to fall. Fall is bourbon season for me, fall and winter. Football season, I like a good bourbon. Can't wait to drink some Door County Distillery. Also, you can scan the QR code on the YouTube stream or the Facebook stream for a huge list of unique cocktail recipes that'll send you right to their website. They have some great recipes you got to try, some great, and they separate them by season too. So like if you're looking for summer drinks, they'll have some great recipes. And all you got to do while you're on their website, then find the retailer nearest you. Milwaukee, Madison, wherever you are. I don't know about Norway. As we talked to Treb on the YouTube chat, I don't know if Door County Distillery, you can get it out in Norway, but you can certainly get it all over the state of Wisconsin. DoorCountyDistillery.com. We'll step aside for 60, and when we come back, we tier all 32 NFL teams rapid fire style. This will be fun. That's coming up next. It's Mr. Relevant. I'm Alex Strouf. I'm back at the great Door County Distillery here in Carlsbad with my friend Rob from Door County Distillery. We're making, it seems like a summer drink here, Rob, a cherry Cosmo.
Exactly, just our twist on a regular Cosmo. Obviously Door County, so have to stick some cherry into it.
Have to stick some cherry into it with the cherry vodka from Door County Distillery, made with local cherries, right?
Yep, made with Montmorency cherries we're known for here in Door County.
I love it. Let's get to it. What do we got to do?
All right, so first, obviously the cherry vodka. We're gonna add 3 ounces of that. Next we'll go to triple sec, 1 ounce of that.
Need it for a Cosmo.
This is actually just cranberry juice, 1 ounce of that, half an ounce of the lime.
The Boston Shake, I've
Make sure
learned.
it's, ready to go.
That's such a cool little trick.
Shake it up. Shake it till you feel like it's shaking while we're on. Strainer.
I like that color. That looks like summer. Cherry Cosmo from Door County Distillery. Cheers, Rob.
Cheers.
Tastes like summer to me. Visit DoorCountyDistillery.com to find the retailer nearest you, as well as a huge list of unique cocktail recipes. That's DoorCountyDistillery.com. DoorCountyDistillery.com. My guy Rob from Door County Distillery is the best. All right, let's get into this thing, shall we? Rapid fire. 32 NFL teams, 6 tiers, elite, contenders, playoff teams, outside, bad, or complete dumpster fire. Is that too rude, Hunter? Is that a little bit too rude, dumpster fire? Okay, good.
No, that's fair.
Good. All right, give me some football music. Let's get into this, Puppy Hunter. All 32 teams ranked in these 6 tiers, elite, contenders, playoff teams, outside, looking in, bad, or complete dumpster fire. We start in the AFC East. The Buffalo Bills, the first team on the list. They are a contender. By the way, rookie wideout Keon Coleman. That dude's a stud. I'm excited to see what the Bills are. How about the other team in the AFC East that's really contending? I'm going to do it. I think Miami's a contender this year. With that offense, I have a hard time believing they're not. I think Tua gets a bad rap, especially after his big contract extension. Look out for the Miami Dolphins. Hunter, it's time. To the dumpster fire category we go with maybe the greatest franchise in NFL history.
Yeah, I think that's
fair. The New England Patriots are a complete dumpster fire. Drake May. I'm rooting for Gerard Mayo, but they're going to stink this year. I think they might be the worst team in the league. Like, they might win 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, and I've seen a few early reports that Drake May, not quite the prospect they maybe thought he was, and struggling to pick up what an NFL offense is. So that's going to be tough for them if that's true.
That does not shock me. Let's go to the New York Jets to round out the AFC East. I don't think the AFC East is getting 3 playoff teams. I would like to see Aaron Rodgers in the postseason in the AFC just because it's so stacked. But I think they're going to be on the outside looking in. Probably like a 9-8 miss the playoff situation for the New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers. It's going to maybe the best division in football, AFC North. The Baltimore Ravens with the reigning league MVP, Lamar Jackson. I still think they're a contender. John Harbaugh is a terrific NFL head coach. Lamar Jackson is a terrific NFL quarterback coming off the AFC Championship game loss. I think they're a contender. Cincinnati, I think, is a playoff team. If they really pick it up in the back half of the year, maybe they could be pushed up to contenders in the AFC. But I think they're probably just a playoff team this year. And Kansas City probably still has, well, I guess Cincinnati's really had their number, but I think Kansas City's still the better team. I will put Cincinnati in playoff teams. Cleveland on the outside looking in. They're better than you think they are, but they're probably not quite that good. I think they're right along where the Jets are. Probably like a 9-8 team, just not going to crack the postseason. Same with the Steelers. Mike Tomlin doesn't lose ball games, baby. He's a 9-8 consistent guy. I'm intrigued to see what the Russell Wilson / Justin Fields era brings in Pittsburgh, just because those are two guys I've watched closely for obvious reasons. Fields, obviously, from Chicago and Ohio State, and Russell Wilson, the former Wisconsin quarterback in Seattle and Denver. I'm intrigued to see what happens with that, but I will go Pittsburgh on the outside looking in. Houston is a playoff team. I still think they were a year away from being a true contender. I think they're in. I think they win that division, but meh. I'm not ready to call them a contender yet. Indianapolis, we're just going to call bad. I don't think they're a dumpster fire. I think Anthony Richardson is going to be a good NFL quarterback. Obviously, if Jonathan Taylor is healthy, I think he's still a really good back in the NFL. I just don't think they're going to be very good. Jacksonville, probably outside looking in again. I don't know if I'm fully bought in on Trevor. Yeah, they're a playoff team. I think they're a playoff team. This is a hard one. Yeah, I'm going to go playoff team but I got to remember there's only 7 playoff teams in the AFC. I've got 6 right now. And we're still missing Kansas City. So, yeah, we'll see. Tennessee, are we ready to call it a dumpster fire?
Yeah. And also, I think it's okay to have teams be considered a playoff team, but then still not actually get in. Like, you can be playoff quality, but miss the playoffs. Like, I think that's a regular thing that happens in football. So I wouldn't be worried about your numbers.
All right. I think my numbers are going to be okay, though. I might have 8, but we'll be all right. Yeah, Denver's a dumpster fire. Bo Nix. What are we doing? Sean Payton. The Broncos aren't any good. What are we doing here? Kansas City, I mean, they're back-to-back Super Bowl champions. Where else am I going to put them? They're elite. The Raiders probably not dumpster fire bad, but they're bad. Who's their quarterback? Do you know the answer?
Are they going Aiden O'Connell this year?
They might. They might. Did I miss an offseason signing, maybe? I don't even know who the Raiders quarterback is off the top of my head. That's how bad they are.
I'm going to try and look at their roster.
I think it's Aiden O'Connell. I know they signed Gardner Minshew. I would guess O'Connell is probably their starter. But I feel bad for Devontae Adams, man.
ESPN has 4 quarterbacks listed. We've got Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Anthony Brown Jr. from Oregon.
Do you know who? I was going to say, do you know who that is? I don't know who that is.
No idea. And then Carter Bradley from South Alabama. So it's Aiden or Gardner.
Carter Bradley, bringing up the rear. That is a quarterback name, though. I'll give him that. It's either like an outside linebacker name or a quarterback name. Carter Bradley. Yeah, I'm gonna have 8 playoff teams. I think the Chargers crack in the first year under Jim Harbaugh, despite the lack of wide receiving depth. Like, they have no receivers. It feels like Austin Eckler's a commander now. I don't know what they're doing, but I trust Jim Harbaugh and I trust Justin Herbert. It's as simple as that for me. And they've got a pretty solid defense. Khalil Mack had a really good year last year. I put the Chargers as a playoff team. Let's go to the NFC. The first team up in the NFC, Hunter, is the Dallas Cowboys. They're a playoff team.
Yeah,
I don't think they're a contender.
No, they're not.
I don't think they're a contender. I'm ready to do this, I think. They might just be bad, but I'm ready to call the Giants a dumpster fire. I don't trust anything happening over there. They lose Saquon Barkley. They pay Danny Dimes $40 million a year to probably not be their long-term solution at quarterback. Amongst other things, they're horrible. Dumpster fire. Philadelphia is a contender. Down year a year ago at the back half. They started 10-1. It was all downhill from there, and they make an early exit from the postseason. I think they come back with a vengeance. I don't know how much I trust Nick Sirianni, but I do trust Jalen Hurts as one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC. I think Philly gets back to competitive level with the addition of Saquon Barkley, with some really good defensive additions in the draft this year, including Cooper DeJean, Packers fans' favorite. I think Philly's a contender. I think they're going to be really good this year, once again. Washington probably just bad. They could be a dumpster fire. I like Jaden Daniels a lot, but it's hard to trust a rookie quarterback starting week 1, and I think Jaden Daniels will do that.
See, I think
they're just going to be bad.
I don't think they have the stink of Dan Snyder off of them yet, so I think they're a dumpster fire. That franchise, like, for all the crap that people give the Cowboys, like, at least they can get into the playoffs or be in that conversation consistently. Like,
yeah.
Washington is bad. That is a terribly run organization. It's going to take forever for them to fix it. They're a dumpster fire.
Okay. I'm going to keep them at bad, but the term, they don't have the stink of Dan Snyder off of them yet. I like that. It's good by you. I'm going to keep them at bad, though. Let's go to the NFC South because I just think we're going to do a lot of this. Bad Atlanta. Dumpster fire Carolina. Outside for New Orleans. And one of those teams has to be in the playoffs. I still think it's Tampa. I like Baker. I'm higher on Baker Mayfield than most people. So I will go dumpster fire for Carolina, bad for Atlanta, outside looking in for New Orleans, playoff team for Tampa Bay. No more commentary necessary. The NFC West is interesting to me this year. It really is. I think the Rams are on the outside looking in. I think San Francisco's elite. I think those are the two easy ones for me. I struggle with Arizona and Seattle because one of them's going to get in, I think. I don't think they're both in. I think one of them's in.
I'd go Seattle.
And I wouldn't.
Oh,
like I'm higher on Baker than most people. I'm higher on Arizona than most people.
I don't trust Kyler Murray at all. Like, I don't
if
trust him as
healthy,
far as I can throw him, and I'm sure I can
season.
throw him pretty far. But like, yeah, but
that's just
again,
mean.
But like, come on, Strouf. Like, the fact that there were even actual stories about their issues with him playing too much Call of Duty as an NFL quarterback.
Okay, first off, you and I both know that story was completely blown out of proportion because it was hilarious.
But it's still, that story doesn't come out about anybody else, and 85% of the league is playing Call of Duty. But then the fact that the starting quarterback for an NFL team is the one that story comes out about.
That story's 2.5 years old.
It's not good. It's still not a good look. It's still bad. I don't trust them. I think it's crazy to trust them just because they got Marvin Harrison Jr.
And that's not just because, right? Like, I think
that's a
Arizona,
big part of
it is a part of it. But, I mean, I think they are a solid team who just needs consistent quarterback play, and they're a playoff team. I think the addition of Marvin Harrison Jr., of course, is a good one. I think James Conner is maybe the most underrated running back in all of football. He is a pretty darn good running back. If Kyler stays healthy, I trust that. I trust their offense. Defensively, they've got some names you would recognize, but like nothing to write home about. But I think you'll have some stars come out. Max Melton, Bo Melton's little brother, was drafted by them. He'll be a starting quarterback for them. Sean Murphy-Bunting is the other corner there. Budda Baker, of course, the safety, is in Arizona. So, I mean, like, they've got a pretty solid defense. And I think Kyler's going to shock some people. I think the Kyler commentary is going to take a turn this year. And I will put Seattle as well on the outside looking in. I think that's one of the more... I think the AFC East, the NFC North, and the NFC West are probably the most intriguing divisions in football this year. I would say those three above the other five. Are probably going to have the best football. I think Arizona's a football or a playoff team this year. Maybe that's my hot take here, is I think Arizona's going to make the playoffs. I think Kyler Murray will be in the playoffs this year. All right, let's do
It's great
the
as
final
long
four
as Chipman
teams.
24/7 doesn't hit at the wrong time of the season.
That's good. Let's do this. Minnesota's bad. They're not a dumpster fire. I like Kevin O'Connell as the head coach. I do not like J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold as their quarterback. Justin Jefferson is the best wide receiver in football. Yeah, I can't put him in dumpster fire, and I don't think I can put him on the outside looking. I think they're probably a 6-11 team. They'll be bad. They'll be a top 10 pick next year. The Detroit Lions are clearly contenders. I think they only got better this offseason. They were in the NFC Championship game a year ago. I think they're legitimate contenders. The Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers are the final two teams we have left, naturally. I need a moment. This is where we need to take a quick team timeout. I actually know what I'm doing with the Packers, but I'm trying to keep them for last.
You want to put the Bears as a playoff team, don't you?
Sure do.
Yeah.
I sure do.
They deserve it.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. Unless Caleb Williams is a complete train wreck, I think they're a playoff team. I have a hard time believing they don't win 9 games and get in. I don't think the NFC is that strong, right? I mean, look at the teams right now that I have in playoffs or better. Dallas, Tampa Bay, Arizona, Chicago, Philadelphia, Detroit, San Francisco. So that is 7 teams, and I will be adding an 8th because the Packers are at least a playoff team. I think I'm ready to call them a real contender, though. And we talked about this a ton with the Packers. I think they're probably a year away from being in that elite category or maybe high contender list. But would you be shocked, Hunter, if I said, spoiler alert, the NFC Championship game this year will be the San Francisco 49ers and the Green Bay Packers? Would you go, oh my gosh, that's crazy? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think so at all. I feel like the Packers' floor is still being a outside team. And I know they made the playoffs last year. Where the other playoff teams or the other contender teams, I see their floor is like, they're still going to be like the 6 or 7 seed if they have a bad season. Where the Packers, I'm like, they have a bad season, they could be flirting with a top half of the draft. Like, that's just where I still view that team because of how young they are. I don't expect that out of them, but I think their floor is so much bigger. So that's where I would have maybe set a playoff team for them. But, like, I get where their ceiling is, like I've said it, NFC Championship, Super Bowl caliber team. It's just such a wide margin for them.
So let's just go tier by tier real quick, Hunter. Any problems with the list, speak up. Elite, I have 2 teams, and it is the teams that played in the Super Bowl last year, Kansas City and San Francisco. Did I miss anybody in that tier?
No. Lamar's got to show he can close out a playoff game. That would be the only team that could get close.
Contenders, I have 3 from each conference. I have Buffalo, Miami, and Baltimore in the AFC. I have Philadelphia, Detroit, and Green Bay in the NFC. Again, I asked, did I miss anybody? Did I disrespect your Cowboys here?
No, the Cowboys, like, part of me wants to make the Cowboys a dumpster fire. Like, that's just how I feel about that front office. So, no, I like all 3 of those teams for both sides of it. But like I said, the Packers, just their floor could be outside to bad, but their ceiling is contender to elite. So I like them sitting at a contender spot.
8 teams and playoff teams. Cincinnati, who could probably flirt with contendership, if that's even a word. Houston, Jacksonville, and the Chargers from the AFC. From the NFC, Dallas, Tampa, Arizona, and Chicago, maybe the 2 most bold ones on here. Arizona and Chicago's playoff teams. But any gripes that we haven't already talked about? I know, obviously, Arizona was probably your biggest issue with my list.
Yeah, Arizona's still my biggest issue. Cincinnati, I just worry about Joe Burrow's health. So to put them as a contender is really hard to do. And then as much as I love Harbaugh, going to a playoff team year 1 in the NFL, like, Justin Herbert's going to have an MVP caliber season, I think. And the way things, from some of the video I've been seeing, because I spend too much time on TikTok, of some of his receivers in training camp, they're struggling to hang on to the ball against air. So this could be a long season for the Chargers. They may drop all the way down to bad.
They might. It's a completely fair point. They fascinate me. But I do trust Jim Harbaugh. That guy just knows how to win, right? We saw it in Michigan. We saw it in the NFL when he was the head coach of the Niners. That guy knows how to win. And when he's got a good quarterback like Justin Herbert is, and I think we would agree on that, I think he can maximize them. So there you go. And then the rest of the tiers, I don't really think we need to comment on. Maybe
no.
the Jets.
No, the Jets, I think they'll be outside as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy. The bad teams are bad. The Commanders need to be a dumpster fire, though. Please. Like, I follow the NFC East. I'm telling you, they are a dumpster fire franchise. Thank you. If there was a tier below dumpster fire, I would put them there.
So dumpster fire now has 6 teams. It's New England, Tennessee, and Denver from the AFC. It is 2 teams from the NFC East. It is the Giants, the Commanders, and the worst team in football from a year ago, the Carolina Panthers. There you go. That is the quick tiers list that wasn't that quick. Here on
like
Mr.
15
Irrelevant.
minutes long.
I mean, that's only 30 seconds a team. That's not too bad. It's not too bad at all. Man. Brewers don't do anything Tuesday at the trade deadline. They do, however, make a move Monday night after we were done with our show. They trade in division from the Cincinnati Reds for right-handed pitcher, the 31-year-old Frankie Montas. They send out Joey Weimer and reliever Jacob Junis, as well as cash considerations. And they bring in a new arm to add to their struggling rotation. Not struggling in terms of, hey, they're bad. Struggling in terms of, hey, nobody can stay healthy. Nobody. Shout out to you, Christian Yelich. He's not a pitcher, but he's not staying healthy either. But he's been healthy for the majority of his career. I can't give him too hard of a time for having that back injury. But look, Frankie Montas, he enters as a Brewer with a 5.01 ERA this year. He's a record of 4-8. Nah. This one's more of a high risk, right? When we talked about the Dallas Keuchel trade a few months ago, the former Cy Young Award winner, where they literally traded him for $1, they gave the Seattle Mariners 4 quarters and said, give us a former Cy Young Award winner. That one clearly didn't work out. This one, you get rid of Joey Weimer. And Hunter, we've been talking for months now. The Brewers have a really good problem in the outfield. They have a lot of good outfielders. Blake Perkins, Sal Frelick, Jackson Chourio, Christian Yelich, Joey Weimer no longer. As he was in the minors, he was up, I think, for, maybe 10 games earlier in the season. He was doing a nice job in the minors, but there's really just not a spot for him in the majors. So I don't have a problem with them trading him. The Junis trade I don't really understand. I mean, obviously it increases the package for a reliable arm and a veteran arm in Frankie Montas. But I don't know that this really moves the needle on postseason expectations for the Crew now. Like, I don't really view them as a World Series contender. I view them as a playoff team because they still have a 7-game lead or an 8-game lead now?
6.
In the NL Central? 6. That's right. That's right. They did lose yesterday, didn't they?
Yeah.
6-game lead. Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
This move for me feels less like we're bringing this guy in to win us a game in the playoffs against the Dodgers, as it does we need somebody that can help keep our bullpen from needing to be used as much as they are. So let's get a guy that we're like, okay, we can get him out there for 6 innings. Maybe he gives up 3 runs. We should still be in a spot to be able to win the game. I feel like that's what this move is, to just get them in through the playoffs and win this division and seal things up for the division. So I think there's some fans who feel like any move you make at the trade deadline needs to be a move to push you to the World Series, when in reality you can make moves to try and win your division and just get to the playoffs, and that's more what this move feels like. Yeah,
I'm with you. I don't think it really moves the needle a ton, but it's an interesting move. I hope, like, this old cliche in sports, and I said this last night on Brewers Warm Up on 620 WTMJ, leading into the game 2 between the Brewers and the Braves, the rubber match happening right now at AmFam Field. First pitch just happened. Like, I hope this lives up to the old cliche of, like, a change of scenery can be nice for a player. Because ever since Montas, he was with the Athletics for several years, then got traded to the Yankees, didn't really work out there, and then this offseason signed with the Reds. He just really hasn't been the same since the Yankees traded for him. So hopefully he can find a little bit of that magic here as he's traded to a team they're not a legitimate contender in my eyes, right? Like as the Dodgers had an arm from the Tigers like Jack Flaherty. The Dodgers are a clear contender, right? The Phillies are a clear contender in the National League. Milwaukee will be in the race, right? They'll be around. They're hopefully, one of the last 4 teams in the NL standing, and they likely will be. But I don't know that the World Series is good. Unless you catch some random magic like, the Diamondbacks did last year and the Rangers did last year. Maybe you catch some random magic. I just don't view them as a true contender. But we'll see. You never know. That's why you play the games. So Frankie Montas, the newest Brewer, as they had him Monday night. No moves on Tuesday. The Brewers stay still. I listened to Pat Murphy was on the MLB Network this morning, and he talked a little bit about that. And he's like, hey, man, I'm just doing my job. Upstairs is where they make those decisions. I'm just here to do my job. Very, very fitting for Wisconsin's dad, who also talked at length about Jackson Chourio. Really good interview on MLB Network if you're interested as a Brewers fan to hear from the skip, Pat Murphy. Jackson Chourio, by the way, we'll talk about Chourio and what we learned, because I learned something outrageous about him that we will get to in a second. All right, we did this on Monday. I enjoyed this. I like trivia. We talked about this before, and I love when you play along, watching on the YouTube streams, the Facebook stream, and listening wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Wisconsin On Demand. I like a good list. And Madden has been releasing their top 10 of each position group day by day here. So today was the top 10 running backs. I have not seen the list. Now, the thing with Madden is they don't always get it right. I think they do that on purpose, right? Like they release these graphics with the top 10 whatever to get some anger. I saw a defensive end one, I think it was yesterday. We did wide receivers on Monday, and I felt like they missed some names in the top 10. So it's intriguing to me, what this will look like. I haven't seen it yet, as I mentioned. So let's go ahead. Let's try to rattle these off. We start with, I assume, the number 1 running back is Christian McCaffrey, Hunter.
That is correct. He is a 99 overall.
Oh, good for him. Yeah, he's deserving of that. Is Derrick Henry on this list, the new Baltimore Raven?
He is. He is number 3 on the list at a 94.
Okay, so somebody between McCaffrey and Henry, noted. Let's just keep rattling off some names. Where's Josh Jacobs on this list? I would assume he's in the top 10.
He is. He sits at number 7 at an 89 overall.
Okay. Is Nick Chubb here? Cleveland? Coming back off the injury?
He's number 2, 96.
Oh. Okay. How about, I was going to say Joe Mixon, but I'm going to hang on to that one. I'm not ready for that one yet. How about Aaron Jones? Is Aaron Jones here?
He is. Number 9 at an 88. So only one
This is going
below.
better for me.
Yeah.
This is going better for me than wide receivers did. Saquon Barkley's got to be on this list.
He's number 4, 92 overall.
Okay.
So you've got the top 4, and then you also have number 7 and number 9. So we need number 10,
Okay.
number 8, number 6, and number 5.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just going to give you names. These are not guesses, but I'm just going to tell you names that have crossed my mind that I'm not ready to guess yet. Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon, Jonathan Taylor. Actually, I'm good with that one. Let's go Jonathan Taylor. He's got to be in the top 10.
He is not.
Really?
Yeah. Felt a little disrespectful.
Ooh. That does feel a little disrespectful. Another name, by the way, that crossed my mind is Bijan Robinson. I don't know if they're respecting him the way they should after his rookie year. Let's go here. I don't know why, but I've got a gut feeling about this one. Is Kenneth Walker from the Seattle Seahawks on this list?
He is. He is number 8 at an
Wow.
88 overall. So we still need
All right, I'm ready.
10-6-5.
10-6-5. I would imagine he's closer to 10 than 5 or 6, but I will go with Joe Mixon, the new running back of the Houston Texans.
Joe Mixon, a 91 overall, puts him at number 5.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's got some badge or some skill that really boosts that up for him.
Okay. So I'm 8 for 9 right now, is my understanding. I've made 9 guesses. 8 of them have been correct. Wow, I'm doing a good job here. Okay.
I don't know if you're going to get these last 2.
Are they bad? Like, are they overrated?
They're just not guys that I would think of when I think of the top 10 running backs in football.
Is Alvin? So I would assume Alvin Kamara's not there.
He is not.
Okay, go ahead and tell me.
At number 6 with a 90 overall, Travis Etienne Jr.
No way.
Yep.
He's not the 6th best running back in football. Travis
I know.
Etienne over Jonathan Taylor's disrespectful.
I know.
That's disrespectful.
I know. And then number 10 at an 87 overall, Isaiah Pacheco.
Oh, okay. I thought about him.
See, that's where I would have thought, like, at worst is where Jonathan Taylor would be.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm always fascinated by these lists. They're so interesting to me. Wow. Okay, there you have it. There you have it. All right, as we do each and every show, wrap up with what we learned. Hunter, go ahead.
Well, first I have to start with a video from Big Ten football media days. As
Hey, I was there.
Yeah, you were. And I don't know if you were around when UCLA was there, but their brand new head coach.
Yeah, Deshaun Foster? I sure was.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't seen this video, it's about 30 seconds long, and these were his opening statements.
I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA.
Yeah, you are.
It's us and USC.
Oh, really? Interesting.
We I'm just basically excited, really. That's it. Any questions?
I'm just basically excited.
Well,
just basically excited.
UCLA started their practices, and this was the shirt that he wore to practice. So I learned that
We're in L.A.
Deshaun Foster wearing a T-shirt saying, "We're in L.A." At least he has a great sense of humor, so I'm happy for him with that. So that's what I learned. Deshaun Foster has a sense of humor and can make fun of himself, so good for him.
It's like Adam Gase showing up wearing a T-shirt of his eyes when he was introduced as the head coach of the Jets several years ago. Oh, man. Yeah, that's like an all-time bad press conference. So, Hunter, ironically enough, you and I were on the phone as this was happening because last Wednesday, a week ago today, we obviously did Mr. Relevant live from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis at Big Ten Media Days. And Deshaun Foster was speaking as you and I were on the phone getting ready for the show. So I didn't see this happen. I had heard about it a bit later. Somebody had said to me, "Boy, did you see that? It was maybe the worst press conference I've ever seen." Yeah, that's really bad. Just to give you an idea, right? So these Big Ten Media Day press conferences, each head coach gets 15 minutes. It is a stern 15. Veteran head coaches like Luke Fickell, who did this, use their opening statement to avoid fielding questions. Luke Fickell spoke for 13 and a half minutes uninterrupted for his opening statement, which allowed time for one question. He answered one question during his press conference. Deshaun Foster ended up answering like 20 questions because he only wasted 30 seconds. So he just sat there in the hot seat for 15 minutes because he had nothing to say. We're in L.A.
So I was talking with a friend of the show, Ari Temkin, who's been on the show, and he goes to Big 12 media days regularly, covering all the Big 12 teams. And he was like, there's literally only one way to do that wrong as a head coach, and Deshaun Foster did it. Like, even if you don't want to have a long opening statement, just walk up and be like, "Hey, guys, this is my first year at UCLA. I'm really excited to get going. I want to give you guys the chance to get to know me. So I'm going to give the rest of my time to you guys to ask me whatever you want to ask me." And then you go from there. Like, I don't know what was going on in his mind that he couldn't come up with anything else. But, again, I'm glad that he could make fun of himself. And hopefully they sell those shirts at UCLA because I'm sure they're going to make a bunch of money off of it if they do.
They really should. They really should. You're right about that. I want to go back to baseball for what I learned. Jackson Churia, who's been electric for the Brewers. The MLB network tweeted what he's done since June, which is he's played in 44 games. He has a 3.13 average and 17 extra base hits and a .882 OPS. So Translation, 20-year-old Jackson Chourio is an absolute stud. Over the weekend, the Brewers inducted Ryan Braun into their Walk of Fame. Debatably the greatest Brewer ever, Ryan Braun, the former MVP, and creates some of the great moments in Brewers history during his stretch as a Milwaukee Brewer, including his final year in 2020. Jackson Chourio, if he stays with Milwaukee, I think he's going to rival Ryan Braun for records and the title of maybe greatest Brewer ever. I think he's that good at 20 years old.
Yes. Disrespectful to Robin Yount. He's absolutely the greatest Brewer. So
I said debatably.
Yeah, and it's hard to be the greatest for your team if you get lucky about a juicing scandal. So, there is also that. Yeah, Jackson Chourio.
I'm getting the sense you're not a big Ryan Braun guy.
No, I was at the opening day after he came back from his suspension, and I was one of 2 people that I know of that booed him when he came up to the plate, and I was very disappointed in the fan base.
Nobody boos their home team more than Hunter Vaughn.
I've literally only done it twice in my life. I would have done it a third time if I was at that playoff game when Jesse Winker went to bat. The only 2 times I've ever done it in my life was Ryan Braun coming up to bat after he got back from suspension, and then when that pathetic Paul Chryst team was leaving the field at halftime at Camp Randall against Illinois. Those are the only 2 times I have ever done it. I reserve that for extreme moments.
Do you feel bad booing Paul Chryst in his final game as the Badgers head coach?
Absolutely
Does any
not.
part of you feel bad?
No.
Okay.
No. It's a good thing that Pat Richter and Chris McIntosh, who were standing next to each other on the sideline at that game, couldn't hear me 40 rows up because I was saying some awful things. Like, I was not happy in that game, and I wasn't even drinking. Like, I was livid as a fan. The Illinois fans by me thought it was hilarious. They were loving it. My wife was a little embarrassed. But no, like, I have no problem booing players for my team or the team when it is absolutely deserved. Booing Craig Counsell and Jesse Winker in that playoff game, deserved. Ryan Braun coming back and only getting back because of a weird technicality on a steroid test, absolutely deserved. That sorry excuse of a Badgers team that Paul Chryst was running out of there, absolutely deserved. I will defend that till the day I die.
That'll do it for us today. We're back with you on Friday, beginning at 12:30 Central. ESPN Madison, ESPN Milwaukee on YouTube. You can find the show. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Just search Mr. Irrelevant will be the first result. Mr. Irrelevant is presented by Door County Distillery. We will talk to you on Friday. I'm Alex Strouf. Peace.